Dear students of class 10, today's teaching topic, the assertive nationalism, last part of this lesson. Already I have taught it, but on behalf of few students and their conveniences, I am going to re-explain the last part of this lesson. Surat split 1907. Why was the Surat split taken place? The Surat split was taken place due to some important causes. Number one, the early nationalists in the Surat session of the Congress refused the demand of the assertive nationalist candidate. The assertive nationalist proposed the name of Lala Lajpat Rai to be the president of the Surat session of the Congress. But Ambika Charan Majumdar, the president of the Surat session of the Congress, Ambika Charan Majumdar proposed the name to be the president of the Surat session of the Congress, the name of, Dr. Raj Bihari Ghosh. But the assertive leader's proposal, Lala Lajpat Rai was a very intelligent person. He was basically a lawyer. That's why he realized what was about its result. That's why immediately he refused to be the president of the Surat session of the Congress. And Raj Bihari Ghosh was, the name of Raj Bihari Ghosh was unanimously passed. So the assertive leaders under the leadership of Bal Gangadhar Tilak felt very much insulted and they boycotted the meeting. And that Surat session became a platform of a split between the two wings of the Congress, the early nationalists or moderates and the assertive nationalists. And assertive nationalists remained outside Congress for 15 years after that incident of Surat split. And next one, the assertive nationalists. Who are the assertive nationalists? The true nature and character of the British was exposed, and the nationalist leaders realized that the British wanted to rule India either by sword or by diplomacy. The writings of R.C. Dutt and Dadabhai Nauroji proved that the impoverishment of the people of India was largely due to the deliberate repressive policies of the British government. That's why, and besides, various reforms introduced by the Indian Council Act of 1892 were found to be hopelessly useless, and largely it was found to be hopelessly useless, and it seemed to be inadequate and seemed to be irrelevant. That's why and besides, Bal Gangadhar Tilak was imprisoned. He was sentenced to 18 months of imprisonment because of criticism against the British government during famine, during drought. No help was provided for the famine-affected areas by the British government. Hence, Bal Gangadhar Tilak wrote various articles against the British government. That's why he was taken into the custody for 18 years. So, and apart from this, the international events encouraged the young and youth group. The defeat of Russia by Japan in the year 1905, the defeat of Italy by the Abyssinians encouraged the people of India because it belonged to Asian country. Naturally, the Europeans were defeated by the Asian countries. It encouraged the young people of India, and they realized that the Britishers could be defeated by that way. And meanwhile, Lord Curzon, implemented the policy of partition of Bengal, implemented that policy. It went against the sentiments of Indian people, because Bengal was divided into two halves. Although they said that they were dividing Bengal for the purpose, Bengal was a large province, so it was very hard to them to administer such a large province single-handed. But real intention of the British was to divide between the two communities of Bengal, the Hindus and Muslims, and hence the partition of Bengal was implemented by Lord Curzon. And so the assertive nationalist felt that it was due to the failure of the early nationalist Lord Curzon implemented the partition plan. That's why there formed a spirit of aggressiveness among other wing of Congress. They were known as assertive nationalists. Assertive nationalists formed a separate wing of the Congress, and they also adapted their own technique, their own method, objectives. Number one, your objective, national education. First one, Swadeshi and boycott. Second one, national education. And third one, revivalism. In protest against the partition plan, implementation of partition plan, they started Swadeshi and boycott movement, and encouraged the people of India to use Swadeshi products instead of British products. Not only they boycotted British product, but also British educational institutions, schools, colleges, and offices. And by this way, the people of India, they all strongly supported the programs of the assertive leaders, and hence assertive leaders became famous throughout the country. Now, methods and objectives of the assertive nationalists. Methods and objectives, as I taught you, the early nationalists introduced Swadeshi and boycott program as their objective. And second one, national education. Third one, revivalism. The Swadeshi and boycott movement, they scattered the wave of the movement throughout the whole parts of India. But the early nationalists, they wanted to organize this Swadeshi and boycott movement within Bengal itself. That's why the division was formed. There was a division between the two wings of the Congress. The assertive leaders, under the leadership of Bal Gangadhar Tilak, Bipin Chandra Pal, and Lala Lajpat Rai, they moved here and there. They traveled the whole parts of the country in order to get the mass involved in the movement Swadeshi and boycott. So Swadeshi and boycott movement had become a great slogan. Bande Mataram, Bankim Chandra Chatterjee wrote the famous slogan Bande Mataram, which encouraged the Indian people, the Indian masses, the Indian revolutionaries, and the sense of revivalism also was formed among them. And afterwards, Rabindranath Tagore, Aurobindo Ghosh, Bipin Chandra Pal, Bal Gangadhar Tilak, Lala Lajpat Rai, they all assembled, they all started Swadeshi and boycott movement against the British government. Rabindranath Tagore himself set up one Swadeshi Bhandar in order to distribute Swadeshi products to the Indian needy people instead of foreign goods. And then afterwards, the Swadeshi movement became famous, and the Swadeshi and boycott. Due to Swadeshi and boycott movement, the British government started arresting a number of revolutionaries of India, and kept on passing one after one repressive laws in order to stop the spirit of the movement against them. So afterwards, the British government also, the assertive leaders also established a number of educational institutions instead of national colleges, national schools. And afterwards, the Bengal National College also was founded in the year 1906, and Aurobindo Ghosh himself proposed to be the principal of this college. we both belong to the same group, SRT group, and he was a distinguished principal of that college. He was South India, but later on he decided to join Bengal National College at the time when the partition plan was implemented by Lord Curzon, and Swadeshi and boycott movement had become famous throughout the country. And afterwards, the British government, the SRT leaders, last one achievements of the SRT leaders. The SRT leaders were able to get the Indian masses involved in their movement, and youth group also were encouraged by the ideals and revolutionary ideals of the SRT leaders, because they wanted to have immediate result instead of slow process which the early nationalists followed. And education empowered many to try to and become economically independent. That's why their focus on education helped bring modern education within the reach of common Indian people. The agitation, political confrontation, this also managed crippled the British administration in many instances. That means the British government also was scared of the agitation of against the British government for the implementation of the partition plan of Lord Curzon. So their ideology inspired the young revolutionaries. Whose ideologies? The ideologies of the SRT leaders or SRT nationalists encouraged the young revolutionaries of India to fight on and to take battle for freedom in England, in America. Lala Hardwal encouraged the Indian revolutionaries to take arms and to start armed revolution against the British government. Lala Hardwal also himself belonged to a rich family, encouraged, and he supplied many sophisticated weapons for the Indian revolutionaries in order to encourage the revolutionary ideals against the British government. And they started killing a number of British officials by throwing bombs or by shooting and by collecting revolvers and by shooting the British officials. So that entire situation of the country remained standstill. They could not understand that what to happen or what was going to happen, whether the partition plan which was implemented by Lord Curzon, whether it should be annulled, whether it should be withdrawn. The British government was thinking it. Meanwhile, meanwhile the assertive leaders proved to be successful by forcing the British government to annul the partition plan in the year 1911, and at the same time, in the same year 1911, the British government considered Calcutta to be the birthplace of Indian Revolution. That's why they immediately shifted capital of India from Calcutta to Delhi in the same year 1911, and in the same year they withdrew the partition plan of 1905, which was implemented by Lord Curzon. My dear students, up to this, the teaching of this lesson, only few parts are left, re-explanation. I shall discuss about the role of Bal Gangadhar Tilak, Bipin Chandrapal, and Lala Lajpat Rai. Then, the teaching for first terminal would be completed from history. Then I shall start teaching. One lesson is left from civics. Thank you.